All
So
right, thanks everyone for joining. This is the Gateway PI Inference Extension, also known as the Inference Gateway Project meeting for Thursday, November 6th, 2025. I want to say thanks for everyone for joining, and also announcement that the meeting as well as the project is governed by CNCF. And that essentially comes down to being kind to one another. I think everyone's been doing that in meetings and the project, so I really appreciate that. And with that said, we'll go ahead and get into today's agenda. Let me pull up the agenda here and share really quick. All right, let me know if you can't see the agenda, but today's agenda, as always, we kick off just kind of making sure that meetings recorded, which I did that. And then secondly is any AIs from last week. So let's see, I had an AI, and that's just making sure that we cancel upcoming meetings such as next week, since most everyone will be in KubeCon, Thanksgiving, all that good stuff. And that has been done. So if you're tracking the calendar, you should see that those meetings no longer appear. So a little calendar maintenance there. Update the meeting. Kellen had an AI update the meeting info in the project README. Kellen, were you able to knock that out?
Yeah, we didn't need to. I mentioned in the call last week I thought Nir did it, and he had. I actually made sure to use the meeting link in our repo to get to this meeting, so that seemed to work.
Cool.
Anyways, we can call that done.
Awesome. Very cool. Oh, all right. Thank you for that update. Is Rob here? If so, yes, I do
Yeah,
see
sorry,
Rob.
last
Yeah.
one ran
Yep.
late. But
No worries.
yeah, I didn't have a whole lot to cover here. Just we do for Gateway and Sig Network things. If you're able to make it to KubeCon, we usually just have these kind of informal discussions that are based on specific topics. And I threw one out there for basically Gateway Inference. Looks like we have a few people that are interested, so should be a good discussion. What I would suggest for leads that will be there in particular is if we can kind of have a few topics or a few questions we want to make progress on. So like if we have maybe 3 questions that we really want to get some answers to or make some progress on, then we could guide our conversation around that. But it's also just generally a useful way to get to see people in person for whoever's able to make it. And yeah, that's all I've got.
Cool. Nir, I see you have your hand raised. Go for it.
yeah, so I think if I remember correctly, we also have a project meeting in maintainer truck, so it might worth be sharing those details for those who
Oh
are
yeah,
interested in joining, this meeting as well.
yeah. So that's on Sunday.
Right. Yeah.
I will definitely be there. I think it's Sunday afternoon sometime, but maybe I can add a link.
I looked it up.
And so if you're going to be attending the Maintainer Summit on Sunday, you do need to get approved to attend the Maintainer Summit. But if you're joining, take a look at the Maintainer Summit schedule. We are on there as just a project update. So yeah, we'll be there, and just more of a free form kind of session. So I would definitely look forward to having folks that are going to be attending the summit to come and join to talk about the project. Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Unless there's anything else specific to this topic, we'll hand it over to Colin. Oh, wait, no.
Already covered it. It was just a
Okay.
validation that people can make it to this meeting. We're good.
Cool. All right. Yeah, so pretty light topic or pretty light agenda today for the meeting. I think a lot of us are kind of in that KubeCon prep mindset. So we do have some time here, obviously a lot of time, but unless there's really any kind of pressing discussions, we could call it
Shmuel
a
had a
short meeting.
topic.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Sorry about that.
I saw a approve, so this PR has been approved. Kellen, and you approved it. But it's looking, you're asking for someone else to do looks good for me on it.
Yeah.
The suggestions that were made the last couple of, I guess last week, either earlier this week or last week, I can't remember already, that the new feature gates as well as the configuration for the saturation detector do not eliminate the old versions, but to deprecate it. So you can do this either using the text configuration or the environment variables. If you use the environment variables, they override what's in the configuration with a message. You get a message into the log. Hopefully people actually even see that. That's a different story. That's an old story that logs in a pod, where they go. That's a
Yeah.
different, there's not much you can do about it. Okay.
We have a 1.2 tracker issue. Will you comment this PR in there mentioning the deprecation notice? Because I think we want to have a few deprecation notices this version release, so I would love to capture that.
Okay. Then I guess, okay, I'll do that. I'll go find the
Cool.
issue and add this in and make the comment. And I believe
It should be the
I
it should
think
be the top issue in the milestone. Sorry.
right. And as Daniel highlighted, I believe I put in the text for the
Cool. Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. Hey, Nir, I saw that you did a review on this. Do you have cycles to circle back to this and give it a final look over?
I'll have another look. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks, Shmuel. Thanks, Shmuel, for sticking with this. As you can see, it was been around for a little while, so thank you for pushing this through. I think we're right there at the finish line with it. Nir, do you have another comment or no?
Yeah. So I was just wanted to add another highlighted to the agenda maybe. Just so we'll have it documented. Let me add it here. Yeah. So basically, since we are already talking about issues that affect the release notes, so I made a small change in the last few days that it's a change in the Helm chart, in the inference pool Helm chart that so currently today the flags are set as array, which means that if I want to use the -- set for a specific flag, I must use like index. And that's not so intuitive. So for example, I wanted to locally, when I try to test some local changes, I wanted to change the verbosity level, which is by default set to 1. I had to do flags with index 0 dot name equals v and flags index 0 dot value equals 3 or 4. And also, if I want to set a different command line argument other than the verbosity, I'll have to use, like, if I want to use only one flag, I'll have to use index 0, which will probably override the verbosity. So it makes a bit of not so intuitive UX, I think. So I changed it to be a map. I also looked in other Helm charts of like similar things, like for example in Istio, when they want to use the flags dot enable inference extension, this is done as maps. I think it's also like this in Gateway, right, Daniel? Or is it like a specific field?
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. So anyway, I changed it. It's a user-facing change, so it would be good if we add also a note about that in the release notes, plus raising it here so that everyone are aware of it.
Yes, awesome. Thanks for cleaning that up.
Yeah, agreed.
This is I've lost track, but the next time we do this is going to be a 1.2 release.
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Did we? I know I joined late today. Did we already discuss when 1.2 would happen?
We did last week. We talked about it being near Thanksgiving. Hopefully not on Thanksgiving, but close to, basically, essentially towards the end of November. So we do have a maintainer meeting directly after this to decide what's in scope, clean up the milestone, etc. So
great. Okay.
You know, near here doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving.
hey, that sounds like a volunteer to me.
Perfect.
I can't volunteer, but you know.
No. Well, yeah. Essentially, the end of the month, we can crispen up the date in like an hour or so here. But yeah, that was what we discussed last week. I think that makes sense. We need to be before LMD 1.2, and then we'll figure out. And if anyone wants to bring up any gateway dates that we should be aware of, we can do that too.
Yeah, no, the next gateway release, we just settled on a timeline for that, but that's February 20 something. So it's a ways out.
We should be all right.
At the rate we're going, we'll probably have a couple GIE releases before then.
Yeah.
Seems fine. One of the things I've been thinking about is like we have like in Gateway API, we kind of have this pattern where every new release of Gateway API implementations are supposed to submit conformance reports for that new release. And then implementations that haven't submitted a conformance report for one of the recent versions end up getting pruned. That is yet to be done, but it's planned that should happen in a matter of days or weeks. What's interesting with GIE is there are some releases like 1.2 feels like it is probably going to be a no-op for gateway implementations, I think. So we may, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong there, but like there may be some that we want to signal as like, you don't need to care about this gateways. Like you can, but you can also just ignore it and we're not going to prune you or, you know, whatever. Or like if we say that gateway 1. Or GIE 1.1 conformance is the same as 1.2 conformance, or I don't know. I don't know what we say there, but
we could formalize that, right? Where we basically just take the conformance directory and hash it, and just if the hash doesn't change, then that should mean that gateways shouldn't care, right? Because if we're going to change something that a gateway should care about, I think we necessarily have to change the conformance tests.
No, and actually, now that I think about it, I think Danian is actually adding a conformance test. So the API hasn't changed, but the conformance tests are. So yeah.
But the question is if that data parallelism test lands for 1.2, which I hope it would. And then as I'm looking at the milestone 2, I think the other issue is this 1763, where I don't know if there's I think removing the V1 Alpha 2 inference pool that should trigger a heads up for gateway implementations.
That probably you're right. That probably also requires another conformance. Yeah. Okay. So although we theoretically could have a release that doesn't require a bump to conformance, it seems like it's a ways out. So yeah, I think I was getting ahead of myself there.
But Rob, I mean, you did bring up a good point. If we don't have an issue to track that, do you mind creating one? So
Yeah.
maybe even targeting it towards an upcoming release, or at least
Yeah,
just
and I think
create
honestly, I'm biased because I come from Gateway API, but I feel like the pattern that Nick has proposed there is pretty solid, and we should probably consider copying it here. Of basically, if you're an implementation of the API, you need to keep on submitting conformance reports, and if you don't, you're going to get pruned. Feels important. Otherwise, we risk pointing to people to implementations that just aren't useful or aren't really what people are expecting from our docs.
Cool. Near, I
So
see
yeah,
you have your
I'll
hand.
create a
Oh,
follow up for that.
cool. Thanks, Rob. Near, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah. So yeah, I first wanted to say about that conformance test that was added. So that was, yeah, Rob already mentioned that. But two more points. So one, also related to the deprecation of V1 Alpha 2 and also to the coordination with our gateways partners. So I know that somewhere at the end of November, Istio should have a formal release. So first, do we need something from Istio? If yes, we should push it
128.
as soon as we can.
Sorry for jumping in. 128 has shipped. It's
Okay.
GA.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
actually,
Okay.
LMD inference scheduler is now using it. If you're off of main.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So do we know if the V1 Alpha 2 works, the V1 inference tool works as expected? Can we deprecate the V1 Alpha 2, Shmuel?
Well, let's put it this way. It works with a single target port. It does not work with multiple target ports. There are open issues against Istio about that. And I have an open PR that solves part of the problem, and we're waiting for Lior and others to fix the rest of the problem, which they said they won't get to until after KubeCon.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll try to get the exact point I'm trying to figure out. So basically, if I get it right, both V1 Alpha 2 and V1, they both support a single port. So we don't get any benefit from keep using V1 Alpha 2, right? So we just need to move to V1 and then keep iterating with the Istio team to make sure that bug is fixed.
You are forcing people to be on the latest and greatest Istio, which if you're on, depending what platform you're on, you may not quite have that, right? Because
I think that's. I think it's if you can't. My view of the world is, if you want the latest and greatest GIE, it's probably reasonable to also say you want the latest and greatest implementation of GIE, or whether that's SDOK Gateway, GK, you pick, right? But otherwise, we're going to be stuck, supporting alpha and open, in this project forever.
I mean, the CRD is available if anyone wants to deploy it. We can always take one version back and deploy the CRD. So what I'm trying to understand is, can we deprecate, like feel comfortable with deprecating the V1 Alpha 2 while keeping our options, like all the options on the table? Like if anyone wants to use the old version, yeah, he can do that. But because anyway, we're not going to work on V1 Alpha 2 anymore. And as far as I understand, Istio, they're not going to work on V1 Alpha 2 anymore as well. So
correct. As far
yeah,
as I know, it's correct.
Okay, so I think in that view, I think we can deprecate. We can feel comfortable with that. The other thing is about conformance tests. So basically, there is this mandatory requirement for the gateway to report back the pod that was selected that actually served, because the picker can theoretically select more than one endpoint for serving before the request is sent. And then there is like a prioritized list of endpoints where if the first one fails, it moves to the second one and so on. So we have an open issue for implementing a conformance test about that. I know that GKE has this already implemented, the functionality, but we don't have the conformance test for this required behavior. Do we want it to be included in 1.2? Because this is like a mandatory requirement for some of the plugins to work properly.
Rob, I saw you, or I guess you don't have your hands raised. Oh, everyone dropped their hands. I can comment.
Yeah.
I mean, or Rob, if you, I was confused.
No, I mean,
Hands are going up, hands are going down.
my original hand was for something else, but this does seem like it would be useful to have a conformance test. If we don't already have an issue tracking that, should have
We
one.
should. I just don't know if it's in this milestone or not. Conform. No, we have an issue. Nir, do you mind going? Ping me if you can't find that issue, and then just add it to this milestone. And, I mean, it would be nice. We just need someone to work on it. I don't think I'll be able to work on it in time for 1.2. But yeah, let's add. I think it should be a goal, and maybe we could get someone from the community to pick it up.
Yeah, here it's now in the milestone.
Yeah, I just want to say I have that issue assigned. I will work on that soon.
Oh, cool. Awesome. And Bob, I think it makes a lot of sense that GK already supports this, and you've got an implementation that you could test against, and yeah, from a K gateway side, this has just kind of been on the back burner. There is a K gateway issue that tracks this, so yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on it, or if you don't mind pinging me when you have a PR ready for review, and if things work out, I'll try to work on the K gateway side to get that working as well.
And it's also worth mentioning. So I'm not sure we have here in the call someone from Nginx, but this week Nginx also they sent a conformance report for GIE. So they now support inference extension. So like a announcement for everyone. Whoever wants to give it a try, I think we also have some quick start PR that is going to be merged soon. Yeah, with some steps to deploy, try it.
Yeah, that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Very cool. Yeah, excited to get that in. If they need any help from us, and if they're in the call, let us know. That was a pretty quick turnaround. I felt like it wasn't so long ago they were discussing how they were going to do it. So that's awesome.
One thing I'll point out, and this is that I am very excited for Nginx to support this. Just a friendly reminder of this old issue I created a bit ago. But one of the things that came to Gateway API recently is that Kubernetes upstream third-party content policy is incredibly restrictive for documentation, to the point of just like, they would not ever include a getting started guides that include third-party content, and even more restrictive, they actually removed some links to third-party implementations. Like they they've been very restrictive. From my perspective, that has felt maybe a bit too heavy-handed for our corner of the world, but I would caution that the more we open ourselves up to quick start guides, the more maintenance burden that is putting on us, right, as a project, and the likelihood that we I don't know, that it's just more to do, right, and it is in contrast with what Kubernetes is doing upstream. To be clear, I'm not saying we should prevent one implementation from whatever we do should be for all implementations. I don't really have a strong preference. I just wanted to remind people that the guidance in other corners of Kubernetes is pretty restrictive. We can create our own, policy here. It just feels like something that we should have some guidelines on. Maybe it is tied to the issue I created just in response to my other thing of like pruning non-conformant implementations. That can be part of this. I don't know. Just want to raise that issue again.
Yeah, I know we've had some discussions about this, and we kind of haven't really settled one way or another. And I created a few issues that are associated to this that I need to link to here. So after the call, I'm gonna find those and do that, because like the last point you made, Rob, is like, okay, if I think the issues, if I recall off the top of my head, is like kind of maintaining the conformance test. Like, what is our policy that if you're 2 releases behind, do we pull you out of the conformant implementation page? Do we pull you out of quick start? All that kind of stuff. And I think that's something that we need to settle on. And it's probably just been on the back burner because we all have so much going on. But yeah, definitely from a project standpoint, we need to have these policies set and documented on the web docs, so it's clear to everyone, and then start moving forward with following that policy that we set.
Yeah, plus one, and I said we should copy the what we have in Gateway API verbatim, but like maybe not exactly, because one of the things we say is like it is the last 2 releases, right? You need to have a conformance report for one of the last 2, but in GIE terms, that could be like 2 months, which is a meaningfully different thing than 8 months is usually what that means in Gateway API.
Mm-hmm.
So may need to adjust.
Yeah, and yeah, we the distinction is definitely clear. We have a binary that we deploy too, and a lot of development effort is directed towards the EPP and soon BBR. So our releases again aren't not necessarily correlated to a change in conformance for gateways. So I think we should be really careful with rocking the boat too hard here. It's just, especially as we're starting to get momentum, I think we want to be as inviting as possible. One of the guiding principles for me with this project is we are not KK at all, and we have to act completely differently from how they do. And that's nothing bad against them. It's just the for lack of a better term, it's the game state we're in. Like we need to play our position, and that's where we are.
Yeah, and I think where we need to settle, and the discussions have been like settling on that middle ground, right? Because to your point, Kellen, we want to be inviting, but at the same time, if users are going to the web docs and saying, "Oh wow, this is a conformant implementation," and they start using it and saying, "Wait a second, it's not working." Well, because they're trying to use inference pool v1, but that implementation is only supporting v1a1, right? So we just need to kind of, I think, settle somewhere in the middle, and it's probably one of those tough, like for a maintainers meeting, we need to just like put that as like the #1 topic, that let's finalize this, let's get through this, because I think it's just a matter of settling on, on the middle ground.
Yeah, I think having something is fine, but yeah, we can hash that out and provide some guidance, and if it's painful, then we can adjust.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Rob, for circling back on this issue. Let's see what we got on the agenda. All right, for a pretty light agenda that we started with this call, it has evolved nicely through free form conversation. I love it. So that is the last agenda item, but if anyone is on the call, there are some names here that I'm not familiar with. So if you feel comfortable, if you'd like, feel free to unmute and tell us a little bit about yourself. Why, what brings you to the meeting.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. I am a returning member of the GKE team. A lot has changed, and so I'm looking forward to diving in and getting to know everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
Welcome back, Ryan.
Thank you.
Anyone else feel like unmuting and
Everyone, I'm Avinash Tripathi, and I was in one of the calls of Contrabex where I saw Nair and he told me about the project, and I kind of find it fascinating. So yeah, I'm just here learning about it and trying to maybe help sometime.
Awesome. Yeah, as you could see from the project, we got a lot going on. So anything you could do to help out, we'd really appreciate it, and happy to help you get started. So feel free to reach out to us via Slack and see how we can help you with the project.
I can also say something. So I'm Spencer from GKE. I think I've met many of the folks on the call here, but haven't been super involved with the Inference OSS recently, but looking to change that going forward. And then also I will be at KubeCon next week, so looking forward to seeing people there.
Cool. Thanks, Spencer. Guess as I'm thinking about it too, one PSA for me is obviously if you're in the US, we know there's a lot of holidays coming up. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. We got KubeCon next week. And then I have a bunch of like PTO hours racked up through the year that I need to take before the end of the year. So I think I've got like 2.5 weeks of PTO that I'm taking between Thanksgiving and the New Year. So just want to share that with everyone. I'll make sure that my status is reflected on Slack, but just so everyone has that heads up. And I hope everyone else gets a chance to take a lot of time off and recharge, enjoy the holidays, and enjoy family and friends, and just disconnecting because yeah, the work is never ending, so it's not going to disappear while we step away. But thought I'd share that. Cool. All right. Well, unless there's anything else, we'll give everyone 23 minutes back and catch everyone online.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.